Today, I've been itching to look at some more Beyond All Reason gameplay, specifically here on DSDR 4.1. Wow, this map's gone through quite a lot of iterations, huh? Today we've got some well within their right pros. We've got Claret, who is one of the, I believe he's a developer in the game actually, but also a very highly ranked player here for our red team, spawning on the western side. For our eastern team, the blue player is going to be Flash, another well-renowned player, and the player that gives me trouble every single time when those blitzes hit the field. I inevitably call them flashes. So maybe we'll see some vehicles come out of him, and I can properly respond. He'll save me a bit of trouble as the flashes are his own. Now we also see Spooderfriend here, next ranked player on the Reds team, taking the front line position here, lining up right against Flash. Our next down on the blue team is Evolved Monkey, lined up right behind Flash. So this southern lane is going to have quite a lot of true skill backing it. We're seeing bots coming out here first from Flash. That's interesting. I would think vehicles would look really well on this big open flat bottom part of DSDR here. If you're not familiar with DSDR, let's talk about the map layout a little bit here. There's this big open middle ground, which you can see. Very nice. Very good for bot harassment if you're going for raiding, but also for vehicles and that sort of thing. We've got this sort of complicated middle ground. There's a high ground. In case you want to capture the high ground, Anakin, you can do that here. Mount some artillery up here and be quite a pain in the neck. Accessible from both sides here. And there's a geothermal plant here that you can contest as well. And at the very northern half of the map, there's sort of this dry river, this dry gulch that you can see here. Sort of a difficult terrain for vehicles to move across, but a little bit easier for bots. A little bit of cliff sides here that you can mount artillery on to try and harass across this gap. And I think it makes for some really interesting gameplay. Now, Claret taking a backline position here, definitely in the eco spot. I'm curious what he's going to be going for. He's already got the Grave Robber out, eating up these plants. Kind of look like aloe vera, maybe. Some sort of desert plant, right, on this nice desert DSDR. Reminds me of the desert. Home sweet home. Bad bot now, dealing with a few grunts that have made their way towards him. We're going to avoid him. Look at that. Look at this pro level micro right there, moving them around. You do love to see it. There's been some discussion in the comments about what constitutes a pro, right? Or the pros, you know, when I first started playing this game, anybody that was above a 20 true skill, that was a pro for sure. Nowadays, I mean, I'm over 20 true skill, so I guess it can't be true. We're seeing a bit of a change in tidings here, and I wonder what you guys think. So let me know down in the comments how you feel about the difference in true skill values, what you think you consider a pro, because there's not really a hard and fast value. It's much more fluid than that. But I would love to hear what you guys think down below. While you're busy dealing with things outside of this video, I want to note that I realized that YouTube gives me a plethora of really interesting data. And as creepy as it sounds, I do have access to a lot of data about different demographics that watch these videos. And interestingly enough, I noticed that only 34% of my viewership actually comes from America, and you know I'm American, so I guess I was surprised. Really, I just assumed that it would be a lot higher than that, but no, only 34%, and the rest is pretty much evenly split. There's about 25% in parts of Europe around the UK, and then the rest of it was sort of all around the world. Netherlands had a really huge presence. You know, relatively speaking, there was I think about 2,000 people from the Netherlands. Shout out to all my Netherlands friends. Make sure you leave a comment down below. Why don't everybody leave a comment down below where you're from, where you're tuning in from. See who we can get the most support from. I can also see who from what parts of the world subscribe the most. So if you if you feel like showing your support for your country, showing some patriotism, yeah, consider subscribing down below, and I'll see it. It'll pop up on my charts. Anyway, we see a commander trade going down here. Cold Flame trading out here with, what color is that? Bad Bot? Yeah, I think it's Bad Bot. See his forces right here. Bad Bot it is. Now there's a lot more army here for the red and the that's more of a salmon color, I would say. Salmon and light salmon. the two shades of pink, the Pink Brothers, eating up these commanders in unison. Look at these Grave Robbers sharing a meal. How wholesome. Zoom in on these bad boys. Eating the wreckage of their commander for the greater good. Feeding that all back to their family. Very good to see. Very good job contesting that, and that's going to be a nice boon to both of their economies here as they rush to pump out some units to contest Flash on the front lines. Flash has these Rocketeers up. Going to be phenomenal for microing. Spooderfriend no longer has an army presence on the front line, so he's going to have to try and hold on to this. Just his commander and some turrets. Going for the metal extractors, very important. I believe these metal extractors are... yeah, 2... well, I guess they're all 2. Okay, so all the metal extractors are the same. But, of course, having those metal extractors is going to be better than not having those metal extractors, right? More stuff beats less stuff. Looks like someone's playing tic-tac-toe right there. I'm going to wipe that off the board. And we do see a bunch of grunts pushing through here. Getting a little bit of value against Grenlocked. Looks like Grenlocked and Pop-Ops. Pop-Ops. Having a little bit of a trade up here. Wiping out both of their commanders, but I think that's firmly within the grasp of the red teams. That's another 4,000 metal. Yeah, 2,000 per commander, plus a little bit left in the wreckages of these bots here, and I think that's, again, going to be a tremendous boon to their economy. They do need to get something over there to eat it up. Looks like there's a Grave Robber headed on over. Love to see that. Flash in a bit of trouble here. Not a great answer to all these thugs that are rolling out. Hard to ask him to answer that. It's you know, he's already got troubles enough in the bottom here, and having to deal with a whole other army, it's pretty difficult. He's a pro level player though, so we're going to see how this goes. We do see Janus coming out. These are pretty good against these spam units, but when they're spread out properly, they can deal with them, certainly. See some light laser turrets coming up, and some Sheldons in the background. Looks like we are officially entering T2. Very good to see. Interesting. Spooderfriend actually cloaking so that the Januses can't get a good shot on him. Oh, they get the shot off though, and the commander goes down. Those Januses, so dangerous. I think it takes 5 of them total to take down a commander in one shot. So that was a very nice play here. Some bombers, interestingly enough, moved out to the front line. Kind of interesting. You don't see. Oh, look at that little guy go! You see him thrown through the air. Oh boy, went on the ride of his lifetime there. Yeah, we don't see bombers harassing the front line very often, but I suppose it works. It is going to mean that anti-air is going to be up, though, so no bombing runs are probably going to happen in the back line. His commanders are finally getting eaten up by this Grave Robber. It's taking its sweet time, but those were never contested, so there's still plenty left. There's a bit of a problem here in that Grenlocked does not have a construction vehicle. Yeah, so never actually managed to get a lab up here. I think they just rushed this center island. And yeah, Metal Mountain is correct. There's a lot of free metal up there, and Grenlock has no way back into this game. That is quite unfortunate. Sheldon's here, doing their best to fend off the Yellow Army. The Yellow Armada. I can actually say that this time, as there is a Armada player pushing in here. Because those Sheldons, they're not super accurate, but they're accurate enough. And yeah, this front line, all they're trying to do is hold on for their back line to get in the game here. We can see still T1 vehicles coming out of the back line here. This, which player is this? Carunel. And Decat has a T2 constructor. Looks like just building a lot of economy at the moment. There are some units on the front line though. We do see some groundhogs, the mine layers and mine sweepers. Very, very good for laying down some sort of a static defense. A passive defense, you might even call it. Bomber still trying to get work done. Yeah, not tremendously effective. It's definitely coming in from the right angle, right? Like you want to approach this from the long angle, against the grain, as you might say. Yeah, striking like that, not the best. But hard to blame them. I mean, trying to micro a lot of stuff. Looks like we are upgrading our economies while we're trying to pilot planes, while we're trying to coordinate with the team. Very difficult to do. And understand the perils, the imminent threat of this pink team here. Pop-ups making a good push here towards Tebesh. Yeah, they're really going crazy with the arrows. I'm trying to keep it clean as much as I can. Yeah, so we see it's like These medium tanks will mostly mop up all of this mess here. Sheldon's keeping the yellow units at bay. Very nice to see. Coronel is now pushed all the way forward with his commander. Maybe thinking about self-destructing, wiping this base off the face of the earth. Flash does not have a production structure anymore, so he's going to be relying on his backline to essentially produce all the units to defend his base. All the units that are needed. Commander is finally spotted. It looks like this commander's plan is to sacrifice itself for the greater good. Yeah, commander here mostly just diving into the base, hoping to get as much damage done as possible, and that is Flash wiped off the face of this earth. Claret, in the meantime, has been ecoing up nicely. It's got a fusion reactor, got some build power coming up. Looks like we're going for some energy converters as well. Going to be a nice little economy spike, but honestly, I don't know if he needs it. His front line is looking rock solid here, all stepping up to their T2 economies. That's very nice to see. Looks like, yeah, we've got T2 bots handed out here. I think that's great. I think that's a mark of teamwork there. I'm not sure who handed out those T2 bots. I'm trying to see where the T2 bot lab might have been. Yeah, it might have been Claret, actually. So yeah, getting those early T2 bots out and handing them to your team, you're gonna improve your whole team's eco, which is gonna make the whole game a whole lot easier. Say whole one more time, just for the hell of it. And it looks like that's what they're gonna call it. They realize their front line is completely pushed in. There's not a whole lot left that Flash can do. He's got one commander to his name, and the res bot goes down as well. The construction bot has 13 health, so not exactly what you might call a pristine specimen. Up north, there's basically been a stagnation, so this front won't fall anytime soon. Heavy laser turrets, twin guards, all that good stuff here to defend. Now, I did want to note, this is something I realized, was the Castro, which is the radar jammer for Cortex, is much cheaper. It's 115 versus the Sneaky Pete, which is 240. So be aware of that, guys. If you're Cortex, throw those radar jammers down, because they can definitely be they can be put up with relative ease when you're playing as a Cortex player. Of course, they can't cloak like the Armada jammers can, but I think that's all right. Not necessarily the end of the world. Vote failed, so it looks like they're going to keep playing it. We'll just see. Claret now pumping out a ton of bombers here. We've got the T2 economy up, so we are running a fusion reactor, and we are running our T2, the advanced metal extractors, and we're pumping out as many bombers as we well can handle. Not sure how many here in total. Looks like 20. Yeah, we're calling it at 20 bombers. Maybe. There it is. Yeah, 20 bombers. A couple of scouts. I'd love to see that. You know, if you don't take my word for it, that scouts are absolutely necessary if you're going to do any bombing, take the pros' word for it, right? Here they are, showing you how it's done. Build some scout units to go with your bombers. You'll link me later. You'll link them later. You'll have a great time. Groundhog. Taken down, unfortunately, but it did get quite a few mines built. So those will, at the very least, discourage these units from walking forward aimlessly. Gonna need to see a Juno to clean those up, or just a lot of cheap, light units in order to blow up those mines. Scouts are moving forward, bombers are moving forward, everybody's moving forward, and this looks quite devastating. Bombers decide to... Jeez. Chill there, Evolved Monkey. Man's having a full-blown moment there. Guess it's understandable as he realizes that this blotting out of the sun's worth of bombers has reached his base. That's my new favorite technical term, by the way. I know I've used it before, and I'll continue to use it because I think it's about as technical as this needs to get. Yeah, the bombers blow up the fusion reactor that was starting up. They blow up the build power here that was already built, and the rest of them are going to be bombed up by these fighters. That's a great job having those fighters out by Pyrotech, but unfortunately they weren't able to spare the remains of Evolved Monkey's base. We have the Paralyzers coming up now. Here to stop the day. To freeze it. Freeze it in place. One of these thugs trying to push forward. They're really slow, so they're just gonna crawl forward. And they're much too slow to actually make it past all the defenses here, especially with these fiends on their back. Yeah, those are going to get mobbed up nice and quick. So to Flash's credit here, we do see him rebuilding from the ashes. We see a bot lab out now. We see a advanced metal extractor almost completed here. But yellow has moved in for the kill. Shurikens are looking for anything they can. But the fighters are here to respond. And those, of course, will tear down the shurikens with complete ease. But Flash is in quite a bit of trouble here. Maybe should have gone for a jammer first so he wasn't detected, although I think there was a tick here for the yellow player, so probably wouldn't have mattered in the end. Flash's last construction. Bot goes down, and the bot lab will be short after. Shortly. It will follow shortly after. There we go. There's the right sentence. Need to wake up a little bit. We got medium tank skirmishing. We got pawns destroying this factory. I guess they're trying to make sure that it can't be resurrected. Not a bad idea. For those of you that don't know, if you force your units to fire by hitting A and then left-clicking somewhere, or left-click and dragging, right-click and dragging, sorry, you can tell them to target a certain area and manually fire. And it looks like that will be the end of the team. Sorry, I was explaining this. Let me finish this note because it is important. If they destroy something, they can actually destroy it down to rubble, and then it cannot be resurrected. But that is going to be the end. As they realize that their front line has collapsed, they're still playing tic-tac-toe in the middle here. But what a pro game of Beyond All Reason on DSDR. If you're looking for a good example of what to do, here's a great example. Get those res bots out, contest the front line, help your front line whenever you can. And I will see you all in the next game. Sorry, maybe a bit preemptive there. Got to show you the graphs first. Alright, here you go. And cut.